Yes, we're talking love today. Because it's a season of Valentine. Yes, it is. Because oftentimes when you think love, you think about man-woman or mother-child, but man-woman is what everybody does. But on the show today, I'm turning the sphere of my camera on a different side. Loving beyond yourself. Not because you want to love, but because you have to love and you love to love. So, am I speaking in riddles? You'll have to stay tuned because I have, do I think maybe about 8 wonderful women in the house to tell us what love truly means through the work that they do, and you will be inspired. Trust me, this is Seriously Speaking. We'll be back. Now, my first guest on the show today, when you call her name, you probably think about hats, or then again you think about fashion. And in more recent time, you think about maybe she does some work for orphans and adoption, but she's extended herself all through her life for others. And I don't know whether it's by accident. She'll be telling us about it in the show. It's my pleasure to introduce Mackenzie, a friend from time immemorial. It's nice to have you on set.
It's a pleasure to be
We've
here.
never done this on TV, you know. We've done magazines. Have we done on TV? We haven't.
I can't
come on my
recall.
show
No,
before.
I haven't, actually.
You know, it's amazing that you haven't. I just wonder why. John 3
Well, here I am.
That's what people think about when they think about hats. But tell me how you went from hats to doing this, because something tells me that from time, doing for others has always been a way of life for you.
Yes, Adisa, it wouldn't be just, I know most people who see me from afar know only about fashion, but all of my life, as far as I can remember really, I have had great compassion for children who are orphaned or vulnerable children in society. I recall when I was much younger, I would get my mom to take me to orphanages, and I'd buy little sweeties and biscuits and take for the children. And if you want to get me crying, my siblings know that. Just show me a child who's suffering, and it brings tears to my eyes. So it's something I've always done, helping out, helping children who are in need.
And then fashion happened.
Fashion, I think I was born with fashion. There's something inside of me that my parents always said from when I was a child. They would say to me, oh, she's gifted. She is able to put things together with her hands, and she's able to imagine things and bring them to life. So I heard that growing up as a child as well. So really, I'm grateful to God that from very early on, my parents could identify certain things about me and my siblings. And
you were able to live it through too?
Yes, I would say yes. You know, in the case of working now in Heritage Homes Orphanage as the managing trustee, I recall, you know, over the years I had supported orphanages, like I said earlier on, and I got married, and
life happened.
Life happened, Adiswa. Life happened, and it was tough. You know, young girl meets a handsome man, get together, and you think you're going to live happily ever after.
With your kids.
With your kids. And I wanted to have 4 children. My husband thought 3 were fine. And, you know, shortly after we got married, within a month or so, I was pregnant. But 6 months into the pregnancy, I lost the baby. And that was the beginning of several miscarriages. We had registered an orphanage between my husband and I because it was the sort of thing we felt we would do. Mm-hmm. But when this started, my focus shifted completely. I was in a lot of pain. It was a very difficult time in my life. And I walk into church one morning, and everyone goes, Pastor Ita is looking for you. He wants you to start a motherless babies home.
That's the pastor in your church?
The pastor of my church. And I thought, is he kidding? I'm looking for a child, and he's asking me to go and run an orphanage. I've registered an orphanage somewhere, and we haven't touched the papers. But
Did he know you had registered an orphanage?
No, he didn't. Wow. He didn't. He just, by the leading of God, decided it was me. But you know, there's a principle God works with all the time, really. Now I'm older, now I know more about God. You know, whatever pain God allows you to go through, he wants to use for the good of others. And he's letting you pass that path so that when you start walking that walk, you would be able to be more compassionate and speak from the depth of your heart because you've been there already and understand what the other person is going through. Mm-hmm. So
That's how Heritage Home started.
Yes, and for about a year, it didn't start immediately. For about a year, I totally ignored it because I thought there's just no way.
But
I think God knows the sort of person I am. I don't jump into things, but when I start, you can't stop me. And I get really into whatever I choose to do. So I feel that if I had had my child before Heritage Home started, I probably wouldn't be doing this because I knew I was going to open an orphanage at some stage in my life, but I wanted to do it when, when you're retired in your 60s or 70s, then you would do, but, God is not waiting for any of us.
You eventually had your child.
I did have. So there's so many children out there, vulnerable children, orphan children, abandoned children who need a home. UNICEF says there are about 17.5 vulnerable children in our society. In Nigeria, this rich environment, this country that, is so blessed with million children. That's like 1% of the population of Nigeria who don't have homes or who don't have families. And each of us can take a child into our homes.
But can we love a child whether it's not ours or not?
Of course you can. Absolutely 100% can. I think God has placed inside every one of us the ability to love a child. And it doesn't have to be, because really the child that comes out of your womb, you grow to love that child. It doesn't happen automatically. I mean, the day they placed my son in my hands, I didn't go, yes, I went, wow, I'd waited for him for 7 years. But it grows, it's bonding, it's spending time together. That's what makes love happen.
Thank you. I would like to take a break so I take on my next guest to understand, because you've grown to love. You made me understand I can grow to love. And that's an example that we will take. But I'll take a break and I'll return with another person who's also helping other people have those little bundles of joy that they can love. Thank you, Eme. We'll be back with you shortly.
Thank you.